A private school principal was arrested this week on charges of theft, fraud, and misuse of charitable funds after investigators concluded that scholarship money intended for low-income students had been diverted for personal expenses over a period of several years. Prosecutors said the case centers on a pattern of financial misconduct involving restricted scholarship accounts, donor funds, and tuition assistance programs that were established to support disadvantaged families. According to court records, the principal, identified as the longtime head administrator of a mid-sized private educational institution, allegedly redirected more than several $100,000 from scholarship funds into accounts under his control. The funds were reportedly used to cover personal travel, luxury purchases, and unrelated business ventures, in violation of donor agreements and state nonprofit regulations. The alleged misconduct came to light following an internal audit commissioned by the school's board after irregularities were detected in annual financial statements. Law enforcement officials stated that the investigation began when parents and staff raised concerns about delayed scholarship payments and unexplained reductions in financial aid packages. A forensic accounting review later revealed discrepancies between funds donated for specific students and the amounts actually distributed. Authorities said the findings were referred to the district attorney's office, which convened a grand jury and issued an indictment earlier this month. The principal was taken into custody without incident and appeared in court for an initial arraignment, where he entered a plea of not guilty. Bail was set in accordance with state guidelines, and the court imposed restrictions on the defendant's access to financial accounts and contact with school employees. Prosecutors indicated that additional charges may be filed as the investigation continues, citing the complexity of the financial trail and the involvement of multiple accounts. During subsequent proceedings, the case was assigned to Judge Frank Caprio, a veteran jurist widely known for presiding over high-profile cases involving financial and civil matters. In court, Judge Caprio outlined the charges, reviewed the prosecution's evidence summary, and addressed procedural issues related to pretrial detention. The court also heard arguments regarding the defendant's financial status following the freezing of assets linked to the alleged misconduct. Court officials confirmed that, due to the freezing of the defendant's accounts and the lack of immediate access to personal funds, arrangements were made to ensure compliance with detention requirements and court-ordered obligations. Judge Caprio approved a lawful mechanism under which court-administered funds would temporarily cover basic incarceration-related costs, consistent with local regulations governing pretrial detention and indigent defendants. Legal experts noted that such arrangements are not uncommon when a defendant's assets are restricted by court order. The school at the center of the case released a statement acknowledging the arrest and confirming that the principal had been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the legal process. The Board of Trustees announced the appointment of an interim administrator and stated that all scholarship programs had been secured under independent financial oversight. The board also indicated that it is cooperating fully with law enforcement and conducting a comprehensive review of governance practices. Donors and parents affected by the alleged misuse of funds were notified by the school, and a dedicated support office was established to address questions related to tuition, assistance and student enrollment. According to the statement, the institution is working with external auditors to reconstruct financial records and determine the full scope of the losses. Officials said efforts are underway to restore scholarship funding through insurance claims, reserve funds, and new fundraising initiatives. Prosecutors emphasized that the case highlights broader concerns regarding financial accountability in private educational institutions, particularly those that rely on donor-restricted funds. They noted that scholarship programs are subject to strict legal requirements, and any diversion of such funds may constitute serious criminal offenses. The district attorney's office stated that the charges reflect an alleged breach of trust involving vulnerable students and families. Defense attorneys argued in court that the allegations are unproven and that the financial discrepancies may be attributable to accounting errors rather than intentional misconduct. They stated that the defendant intends to contest the charges and present evidence supporting his claim of lawful use of funds. The defense also requested additional time to review the prosecution's financial records, citing the volume of documents involved. As the case proceeds, Judge Caprio set a schedule for pretrial motions, discovery exchanges, and future hearings. The court ordered both parties to submit detailed financial summaries and witness lists ahead of the next appearance. Legal analysts following the case said it could take months before the matter reaches trial, given the complexity of the alleged financial transactions. State education authorities confirmed that they are monitoring the situation and evaluating whether regulatory action is warranted against the institution. Officials stated that their priority is to ensure continuity of education for enrolled students and to safeguard remaining scholarship resources. They also reiterated guidelines for private schools regarding financial transparency and reporting obligations. The arrest has prompted renewed discussion among policymakers and education advocates about oversight mechanisms for private schools and nonprofit educational organizations. Several officials called for enhanced auditing requirements and clearer disclosure standards for scholarship funds. While no legislative changes have been announced, lawmakers indicated that the case may inform future policy discussions. Judge Caprio concluded the most recent hearing by reiterating the presumption of innocence and the importance of due process. He emphasized that all court decisions regarding detention, funding arrangements, and procedural matters were made in accordance with existing law and judicial standards. The next court date was scheduled, and the defendant was remanded to custody under the conditions previously set by the court. Authorities stated that the investigation remains active and encouraged anyone with relevant information to contact law enforcement. As proceedings continue, the case is expected to serve as a significant example of the legal and regulatory consequences associated with the alleged misuse of educational scholarship funds.